The last couple of classes, we've been talking about the importance of watching your tongue, not using, bad language with people, and how Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, how the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam told us that Allah hates the person who has a bad tongue, who is foul-mouthed and has a foul, uses curse words and things like that. And then we left off that the Muslim is not the one who looks for scandals. He doesn't look for the juicy details on people. And that's something that the Muslim should avoid. And then the thing the Shaykh he talks about, he says, seeking out the faults of your Muslim brothers and sisters, spying on them, and exposing them and broadcasting their weaknesses and shortcomings hurts the person that you're doing it to. And then consequently, it has effects on the community. It has effects on the community. And, we can see that. You guys know examples of this. This is real life stuff. When you sit with people and you're talking and you have, these conversations, they start to have an impact on the community because it divides the community. And then he quotes the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. He says, "Do not hurt the feelings of the servants of Allah. Do not hurt the feelings of the servants of Allah. Do not embarrass them, and do not seek to expose their faults. Do not seek to expose their faults. Whoever seeks to expose the faults of his Muslim brother, Allah will seek to expose his faults." Allah will seek to expose his faults. And when Allah seeks to expose somebody's faults, Allah will seek to expose his faults, and Allah will expose him even if he hides in the innermost part of his home. In other words, you can't hide from him. You can't hide from Allah exposing you. And so this is the kind of attitude, this is the kind of behavior that we want to avoid, where we become constantly involved in and not even exposing sin, but just exposing people. Just telling them, you're telling other people, oh, they're doing this, they're doing that, this person's like this. And it might not even be a bad thing, but it's just that people keep constantly talking about it. And even if there is a sin, or if there is some, something that happens to them, that you don't expose it. There's no need to tell other people. And then he says, the saying of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, and he says, the sign of a good person, a person's being good Muslim, is that he should leave alone that which does not concern him. This is, if you practice this is like a good third of your religion. Leaving alone that which does not concern you. Just leave it. Right? Just leave aside that which does not concern you. And how often do we find, and this is where the juicy details come, this is where, people are like, oh, did you hear about this? No, I didn't hear about it. But now, this person wants to tell you, and now you also become interested. Right? And then so you start talking about things that don't concern you. He says, leave aside that which does not concern you. So it's not a matter of, tell me, maybe if it's not a lie, you can tell me. No. You say, if it's not gossip, tell me. No. If it doesn't concern you, leave it. If it's none of your business, then you should leave it. And he says, the hadith of Abu Hurairah radiallahu anhu, he says that the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he said, Allah likes 3 things for you, and he dislikes 3 things. He says he likes for you to worship him, number 1, not to associate anything with him, and to hold fast altogether by the rope of Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala that he stretches to you, and not be divided among yourselves. And then he says, the 3 things he dislikes, he says, he dislikes for you to pass on stories of gossip. He dislikes for you to pass on stories and gossip, to ask too many questions, and to waste money. And whether the asking questions has to do with matters of religion, that you ask too many, probing questions, or asking questions about other people. You're like, oh, did you hear about that one? Like, what about that one? Oh, what happened to them? And then what were they doing? Oh, where were they doing it? Oh, what were they wearing? What were they, like asking too many more questions, right? And so avoid asking too many questions. And then the Shaykh, he talks about that the Muslim, he defends the honor of his brother, and quoting the hadith of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, he says, whoever defends the honor of his brother from his slander, it will be his right that Allah will defend him from the fire. Allah will defend him from the fire. And so, when somebody comes to you with gossip, or worse, with slander, right? So, gossip or slander, just defend your brother in his absence. And Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala will defend you. And so spend, defending people from being dishonored in front of other people. Another narration, the Prophet ﷺ, he says, should I not tell you who are the best among you? Should I not tell you who are the best among you? And they says, yeah, of course, Ya Rasulullah. And he says, those who when they're seen, Allah is remembered. Like they're so righteous and pious, somebody sees him, it's like, MashaAllah, they remember Allah. Allah is remembered because of their good conduct. Their piety, their taqwa, their birr. Right? And he said, then shall I not tell you of the worst among you? And he says, those who spread malicious gossip, cause trouble among friends, and seek out the faults of good people. Seek out the faults of good people. You know what? And I was curious. I was like, why did he say seek out the fault? Why specify seek out the faults of good people? Because who wants to hear the faults of bad people? Right? You know somebody who's like, a celebrity who's sleeping around, doing all this. You're like, oh, there was another, did you hear about that scandal? You're like, what? There's a scandal every day. What's the news? Right? But he's like, oh, did you hear about this good brother who prays in the front row and he's from the masjid and he had a scandal? You're like, oh, see, the slandering of the good person is even worse. Is juicy, right? It's like, oh, tell me more details. Tell me more. Right? And so here the Prophet ﷺ, he says, those are the worst people among you, who are the ones who spread malicious gossip, they cause trouble among friends, and they seek out the faults of other people. And there are those people where actually another hadith, the Prophet ﷺ, he says 3 words. He says, La yadkhulul jannah nammam. He says the one who tells slanders, who spreads these gossip, he says will not enter Jannah. Very simple hadith, narrated in Bukhari and Muslim. And lastly, there are those people, who will talk. They're very creative in the way they talk about people. They're like, oh, there's that brother. I don't want to say his name because he'll be backbiting. But he was doing this and this and this. And then you're like, oh, the guy from the masjid. It's like, yeah. I don't want to say his name though. Right? This is the way we talk. This is what we do, right? Like, I don't want to say his name because then it's backbiting. But he wears he has that blue hoodie on. He wears that blue sweatshirt, and he has like the black jeans. He stands in the front row on the left side of the masjid, and he wears glasses, and he wears that kind of hat. No, but it's not important. I don't want to say his name. Those kinds of people. Like, this is the kind of, they're very creative in their gossip. May Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala protect us and keep us from being those malicious people from whose tongue and our actions our brothers and sisters and our neighbors are safe from. Anything good is from Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala, anything wrong from myself. May Allah forgive me and all of you. Jazakumullahu khair. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh.